Welcome to my TikTok Friends, the podcast about the app where everyone goes viral. I'm your host, Dan Vadeboncoeur, and I'm going to start with an apology. First to you, the listener, for only posting 3 episodes of this podcast last year and then nothing, and then stopping completely. I apologize for that. I'm going to apologize to the people that I interviewed. I did continue to interview people last year after I posted those 3 episodes because it was my intention to continue on, and I didn't. So I'm going to apologize to the people whose episodes are now lost, and I brought one of them back today. But I'm going to reach out to those other people that I interviewed and see if they'll come back. But yeah, I feel bad. I mean, the conversations were great, but I just did not have the confidence in myself to keep posting. I get into it more in the episode, but it was a weird time in my life, and I don't want to make excuses. I just want to focus on moving forward and creating a great podcast, because that's what really this is going to be. This podcast is about the incredible variety of interesting people that I've met on TikTok, a way for me to connect with them and just get to know them better. These are people that I talk to every day, really. I interact with them every day on TikTok. I like their videos. They like my videos. They try to answer my trivia questions. I comment on things. It's interesting, but I want to kind of expand that relationship and get to know my friends a little bit more. So this first one is Xyngi. Xyngi, Xyngi. I don't know how to say it. I'm really weird with X names. Phazon Games is his at name on TikTok, but his real name is Eric, and he is a super nice guy, and we've talked a few times. We've done a couple lives together on TikTok. Those are really fun. We're going to do some more of those, and he posts about all kinds of things. He posts about movies, video games, the cool toys that he sells in his eBay store. That's really cool as well. You should check that out. I'll put all the links in the show notes. So we talk about TikTok, his first viral video, and whether or not it'll be shut down, and really just kind of why he continues to post on this app. And if you listen right to the end, you'll hear a surprise guest. One of my children pops in to visit, so that will be fun. And I'll come back after the conversation and wrap up the podcast. So without further ado, here's my TikTok friend, Phazon Games. But how you doing? You got married?
I did get married.
Yeah, congratulations. That's awesome.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, it was a lot of fun. We've been together like almost 8 years. So it was just a good excuse to get everybody together to party.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. It
cool.
was really nice.
Was it like first kind of big get together since pandemic and that kind of stuff?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, with family getting together and all that. We've seen family separate, and on and off. So it was nice to get everybody in one place for that.
That's exciting.
Yeah, it's cool.
Great. Great. And so you're continuing with the TikToks. You're going on with that kind of thing.
Oh yeah.
Are they shutting it down, or what's going on down there?
Oh, I don't know. I haven't been as attentive as with the wedding and everything going on.
Right.
I've mostly, you've probably noticed, been relying on just clips of things that I have already made or have put in the works recently from YouTube and all that.
Sure.
As far as it getting taken down, I don't think it's going to get taken down, man. Do you?
No, not at all.
It's theater. It's just theater.
Well, I'm quite surprised at how seriously everybody takes this. I was like, is there a real threat to this? And I kind of look at the whole situation. I'm watching all this stuff and reading the articles going, no, it doesn't seem like there is. It doesn't seem like they're really going to do this. They just want to know what's going on. And it seems like TikTok is explaining it pretty well. So
it's weird the way that they've targeted TikTok specifically when everything that they've discussed is just sort of general social media issues. Yep. I think also that it is good probably that people are paying attention to it as much as it seems like something isn't going to happen. I mean, it is something that people should pay attention to. Sure. Because when you don't, that's when they start slipping stuff by you.
Exactly.
And you don't want that. So it's probably for the best.
Yeah. So, and I saw your post about that and talked about how much this app has helped you. And I think a lot of people have talked about that. That's kind of like the thing I like about this, is that at least it brings out those kind of conversations, people appreciation posts, people talking about how many friends they made on this app and that kind of stuff. And that is really the reason why I wanted to do this podcast and bring it back, rather, is because I really want to just kind of get to know my friends better, get to know the people I interact with on TikTok. Not that wasn't the reason before, But what happened before was that I got all excited about it. I got really jazzed up about the idea. You know that feeling when you're like thinking of just a great idea and you're like, oh, this is gonna be so awesome. People are gonna love this. And I thought, for example, like I thought what it was gonna be, part of it was like translating what TikTok was to people who don't understand it, because I have so many people in my life who do not understand what it is. And so, well, maybe they can learn a little bit about like why these people do it and that kind of stuff. It turned out nobody cared. I didn't get a lot of play on this podcast. I posted 3 episodes. I recorded a couple more. You were one of the ones that I was in the lost episodes. I don't even remember what we talked about now.
Oh, so who knows?
But anyway, that was kind of like, I got really discouraged at that. It kind of landed with a thud and nobody really listened. I got like 3 listens.
Ain't that just the way?
Yeah, and it's like, oh, okay, well, this is not, I can't. It's not enough to sustain on its own. I needed some kind of feedback for it. Anyway, and it wasn't in a great place. It was still kind of in the pandemic for me. This was last year, right? It was about a year ago, I guess.
Yeah,
almost
wow.
exactly a year ago.
No,
it was in. Well, it might have been February. It might have been February.
No, you're right though. Yeah, you're right. Wow.
But it was like, it was still in like I was still teaching online for me, and that was tough. That was really tough for my job, like just to teach online. Online classes suck, everybody knows it. So I was still in the kind of that funk, and it just, with that landing with a thud and didn't get any play, so I'm like, all right, we're just gonna set it aside for now. And I didn't really think about it. What I realized is that I do want to get to know you guys, you and all my other friends on TikTok, and why you do what you do and why you post what you post, and just kind of your thoughts on life. So just for no other reason than that is why I'm bringing this back. That's why I want to do the podcast. And if people listen, great. If people want to come along, that's awesome. But I just kind of want to get to know you better.
If it's any consolation, I did really enjoy. I listened to the Danielle's Games one and the Sandwich Dad one, and I enjoyed both of those quite a bit.
And I want to have them on.
I'm no stranger to that feeling.
Okay,
Dan.
well, thank you.
I understand immensely. I think that probably you can relate to that. I think my entire adult life has been trying to get something off the ground on the internet. And it's a wild ride.
But why do you think you keep doing it? What drives you to do that stuff?
I don't know. I think, well, I have a pretty strong creative drive in general. I don't have a lot of attachment to one specific creative outlet, which I think is why TikTok works so nicely for me. Yeah, I think that's the main thing. I got to be making something, of some size. I've gone from, bands to writing things to making videos and all that stuff, just varying sizes of projects. It doesn't really matter what the project is, as long as I am engaged in it. And yeah, I mean, getting some sort of response for that kind of stuff feels good.
And that's why TikTok kind of continues to feed that, right? Because you do get, you talk about videos going viral, and it does happen on a regular basis, right? With certain types of videos, because you get to know what your followers like and what people like on TikTok.
Yeah, always interesting to see what hits and what doesn't. Sometimes that is a little bit disheartening as a creative person as well, because I will post something dumb that took no effort and it will get 1 million views, and then I will spend a week on something and it will get 100 views and no likes.
Yeah.
But I guess you mentioned that I had talked briefly about the potential of losing TikTok as an outlet and as a point of outreach for revenue for my business. Because if you don't know, and you are listening to this, I sell games and toys online. I have an online store, trying to expand that. And really, if it weren't for TikTok, I would have had to stop. So it's a big deal, this app, that it has enough outreach like that. You can throw stuff, like you just throw stuff at the wall on TikTok, and every once in a while something sticks. Mm-hmm. And I mean, really, haven't really seen anything uh, have that kind of reach for my stuff. And I have been on the internet a while, Dan.
Well, and I imagine you've tried out other platforms too, right? Probably done
Yeah.
YouTube and stuff like that. And everybody, and that was the big, when people were talking about, oh, is it going to go away? Oh, follow me on Instagram and stuff like that. But it didn't happen on Instagram for you. It happened on TikTok. You found an audience here. You found a group of people who like what you post. There's the algorithm is finding the right people, and that's not going to happen anywhere else. Just
Yeah, and
something about TikTok.
you can move some people to different places, but uh I don't know, it's very unique on TikTok, the way that it delivers its content. Even if you compare it to like Instagram Reels, uh it just ends up being much less relevant to the things that I want to see.
Yeah, I actually don't. TikTok has ruined me for all other social media. I barely spend any time on Instagram or Facebook or anything else.
That's the way.
Twitter's dead to me. Twitter is absolutely dead to me. I have no time for that shit. What the
Yeah.
hell is going on over there? Who knows?
Well, I'll tell you what's going on over there. I believe that they are removing anybody who doesn't have a blue check from the feeds.
Okay.
You will not be able to see anybody who doesn't pay them $8. So
Okay.
that's about the nail in the coffin there, I believe.
Oh man, and I was so like, hey, I was actually working for the blue check for a while, and I'll tell you this. This is because I've done. I like you. I've done different things. The Twitter thing. The only reason I have any kind of following on Twitter is because it was where I had my students follow me to do assignments. So these are all like former students that follow me on Twitter. But then I decided in my other job I work as a journalist at CTV, which is a Canadian television. That's what it stands for. Network, kind of like NBC. I would compare us to NBC because we have the three basic colors, like NBC does. In our logo. So when I got that job at CTV, I thought, well, okay, I'm going to be a real journalist, I guess. I'll make this my journalist account. I'll be because that's what Twitter is about. Like it's kind of journalism. It's that kind of stuff. It's updates. So I tweet articles that I write for CTV from that Twitter account. That's all I do with it. And I'm like, okay, well, maybe because I had done it, like I had done this for other places. Mostly my background is in radio. I worked as a radio newscaster for a couple of different radio stations here. So, but I would also write articles because the radio station was also associated with a TV station. I would write some, and then of course they have a website. It's all coming together. This is all coming. This is how this is happening in my field. So I'd write some articles for global news, and I'm like, well, maybe that's enough to get the blue check mark. So I applied for it at one point when I was doing that. Not enough. Did not get approved. So I'm like, okay, fine. So then I make this change. I get a job at CTV. I say, okay, this is just going to be about journalism and whatever I'm writing about for CTV. And then I'm like doing that for a good couple of months. And then this bullshit comes around with a $8 and all that other stuff. So
it's
I'm like,
too late.
Like it's now there's no point. Now all that work for nothing. I could just pay them for it. Then I don't want to.
Yeah, right? I feel like it totally invalidates the work that anybody's done to if you're a journalist, right? Wow, that's what that's for, right? But
maybe not anymore. And I think that's what we're learning is that it becomes irrelevant. Once the algorithm doesn't work for you, it kind of becomes irrelevant. And I think that's happened to me on other platforms like Facebook and Instagram. Because I'm not there often enough, the algorithm just doesn't work.
Hasn't happened on TikTok for me though.
No, because for me, I'm on TikTok a lot. I watch as well as post.
Right.
So I think that really keeps me active, right?
Yeah. Yeah, but it's just like the variety and the the frequency of posting too, I think helps. I mean, there are some people who are convinced that you've got to post like 4 times a day or something like that in order to get any traction, which is silly. Anybody who posts that kind of stuff, they're like, oh, here's the real secret. There's no magic formula for that. But,
well, I don't think anybody knows what kind of secret I think they're guessing at anything.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, they didn't write the code, then they don't know anything about it. But yeah, I mean, there are people, but because there are so many people who are convinced that like that's what it takes. I mean, there's just so much to see, and there's some really interesting stuff. There's some good people on there.
What so how do you decide what to post about on TikTok? Like, do you just kind of off the cuff? Hey, let's talk about this kind of thing.
Yeah, because I do post, I guess, a pretty wide variety of things. I mean, you focus on movies. I would say mostly. I do some movies. I do some games. I do some music. promote my YouTube channel. And I don't know. It's sort of just like whatever feels like it's gonna resonate on any given day. If I, um, a lot of it are videos of things that I come across for my web store. Of course, I'm not just gonna like, I sort of hate when people create content just to advertise to you. So I like to try to avoid, like, I'm not gonna just post every single little thing that I could possibly sell you, but I genuinely have an interest. Clearly, you can't see if you're listening, but Dan, you can see behind me. There are a bunch of toys and crap behind me that are mine. Those are in a case because they're mine.
Those are clearly valuable.
And so I have a genuine interest in that stuff.
Is that
So I
Slave
think
One?
yeah, that's that's the Slave One, Boba Fett's ship.
Okay.
Big Lego set.
Nice.
It's my pride and joy. Well, actually, yeah, it is my pride and joy. I love that thing. Sometimes I take it around and I zoom it around the room when I'm awesome. Alone. But yeah, I think that maybe that's the main point. Is I need the genuine interest there at any given moment.
I find you do pick interesting things, and these are things that you sell in your store. So it's like these are things you find on like hunting out, looking for different interesting secondhand items that you think would sell. And you said TikTok has helped you, and those, like, some of those videos do go viral, and you can get interest in that. And they sell pretty quickly when that happens. So that's pretty cool. But like, what, again, you just kind of, is this all stuff that you're interested in, or do you have an idea of the kind of things that people will like to see?
If I had an idea of the kind of things that people like to see, I probably would have gotten more views sooner in my internet career. Okay. I think it really is just like I don't know. It's just if I'm like, hey, I watched a bunch of movies this week and some of them really resonated with me, then it's time to make a post about those movies. I do have like sort of series of videos that I like to keep up with. I've been counting down my 10 favorite movies per year for the longest time now. That's going to take a while.
Is it for your entire life? You're going all the way back to birth?
I'm going back to, I would like to go back to the 30s.
Okay. Oh, okay.
1930s, which I think I can do.
10 movies from the 1930s?
10 movies per year from the 30s.
Oh, shit. Okay.
Which is going to actually take some additional viewing between now and when I post those videos.
Yeah, well, I find that's the kind of thing that gets you watching that stuff, right? Yeah. The challenges motivate you to, because I would never watch that stuff otherwise. Like, I don't think I would ever gravitate towards stuff made in the 30s unless I did some kind of challenge like that.
Yeah, right. And you, I'm sure, know about that because I see you go into the bargain bin all the time, picking out random movies. And you're right. I think it sort of incentivizes you to, like, it incentivizes me to keep up with my hobbies, I guess. Did you ever watch Tomb Raider, the third DVD?
Yeah, I did. I just posted about that one. Yeah, it was the third one in that trilogy, and it was so weird. It was do I have it here, or do I put it?
Yeah, it was a set of movies. It was Annihilation, one of my favorite recent movies.
Yeah. It
was Arrival. Also, I mean, just two of the best science fiction movies of recent times. And then for some reason, Tomb Raider, which is not one of my favorite movies,
and not even science fiction, if we're being honest, right? Like, that's just a third. And so this is, I ask about these quick things because this is a 3-pack like this. It's, what is the studio here? I don't know what it is. Paramount, maybe? Oh yeah, Paramount. So it's separate discs. So each one of these is a separate disc. So did they have a ton of Tomb Raiders sitting in a warehouse that they wanted to get rid of, and they just packaged it with these other two movies? Is that what happened? Probably. I am
100% convinced that that's what it is. They had a warehouse full of Tomb Raiders, and they were like, how do we move these things? We'll put them with a couple of actually good movies.
Yeah, I have quite a few of these combo sets, actually. I'm going to do something with them.
I'm sure you do, from the bargain bin.
Not just from the bargain bin, though, because I like to find these wherever I can. So I have like this 8-movie pack, horror cinema, which is like really, really, like, I've never heard of any of these. Mutant, some of these, there's not even any covers. Mutant Breeds, there's no cover. There's just black with like white type. Flesh Eating Fun. So these are all like really low budget movies that I'll watch someday. It'll be a lot of fun.
Yeah, I have one of those over here actually too. It's 15 films.
Yeah.
I do the same thing. I just think it's interesting to see like what they pull out of the archives
Yeah.
to try to get you to purchase some bargain set of movies. But yeah, it is it incentivizes my hobbies a bit and keeps me being a little creative, I think is the answer to that question long ago.
Yeah, I think that, and I keep wanting to come up with new things to do. Again, TikTok, I've settled into these trivia videos I do daily that are easy and fun and keeps me thinking about movies. I like that they spark conversations about the movies that come up on these cards, and I don't know what it's going to be until I pull a card, so that's always fun. But I want to do something different too. So I want to do like, and I also do little movie review videos, which are fun and easy to put together. But I practiced those a lot and gotten a lot better at those since I started doing them because I really kind of sucked at them to begin with. But yeah, I keep thinking of other challenges too, other things I can do. And yeah, it is centered around movies. I feel like I kind of have a niche. I do watch other things, just to be clear. I watch TV. I watch, what else do you watch? Sports, some sports, not really. Not very many sports. Like
just a couple sports.
Yeah, but yeah, like the movies thing, I just kind of felt that was my main, like that is the one thing I really truly love. I will watch a movie any day of the week, and I often do watch a movie every day. So, that seems like an easy thing to talk about.
Yeah, it is. It's have you? This is a different app. Do you have a Letterboxd?
No, I am aware of Letterboxd, what it is. I have, so the idea is like to document every movie you've ever seen.
Yes, and I think that you would probably, as far as like, I guess it's a little bit social media-y, Letterboxd is at this point, because you create a diary of movies if you want. When you watch them, you can review things, kind of log, and then create sort of a community where you end up with recommendations and that sort of thing. I've been doing it, God, since I think like 2018. I have logged every single movie that I have seen.
Really?
Because I don't know, man. I think that's part of why TikTok works for me too, is I have this like desire to log, and Letterboxd just really, really plays into that also. You should check it out because it's good for recommendations too.
Well, that's good. I like that, but I bet the idea of like remembering every movie I've ever seen is daunting. But I guess you start from a point and just keep going. You don't go back and think about the stuff you've already seen.
I mean, in my case, because I am who I am, I do have a list called every movie I have ever seen in theaters, and it begins with the live action Flintstones. And ends with whatever I saw. I think A Knock at the Cabin. So it's like
that. See, I could probably do that. Oh, could I do that?
See, I bet you could.
Yeah, I feel like the theater experience is more memorable, right? You do remember the movies you saw in the theater more often than the ones you don't.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So my first movie was, I don't remember this. My first movie I remember was Empire Strikes Back, but
that is such a better movie than Flintstones. That is wildly
cool.
better.
It was so cool. But I apparently I did see Pinocchio, the animated. That's what my parents tell me is my favorite. Mm-hmm. My first movie is the animated Disney Pinocchio. But yeah, I saw Empire Strikes Back. I saw Return of the Jedi as well in the theater. It was only one when the first one came out. But Star Wars is a big part of my fandom as well. And I think you like that. You like that. You talk about Star Wars quite a bit.
Yeah, I guess that is TikTok wise the first thing that went it all viral for me was talking about Star Wars, which is hard to do on the internet.
Talk about Star Wars or go viral?
Talk about Star Wars. Going viral is not as hard as talking about
Star
Wars.
Not on TikTok anyway, but yeah.
I don't know, not any. It's funny because I feel like I had never really in all of my internet presence talked about Star Wars online until that. So friends would tell me, oh yeah, the Star Wars fandom can get pretty toxic, and I'd be like, what are you talking about? Like, we're pretty cool. And then that happened, and I was like, whew, oh boy.
Refresh my memory. What was the post again?
Well, the post that I made was just I started sort of with the original one was the difference between, it was an Empire, between the scene of Emperor Palpatine talking to Darth Vader. Of course, the original one before they edited it had a different actor and
Oh
different
yes,
lines. So I
different
showed the
makeup.
original one. Yeah, totally looked like a weird frog.
Yeah.
And nobody at this point remembers that because there have been, 8 releases of the other version since then. So it blew up because a lot of people had just never seen it before, and that was fun and that was interesting, and a lot of people were just kind of receptive to wanting to see more stuff they haven't seen, which is cool. But when you get deep into like discussing the like the nitty gritty of Star Wars, people get crazy. And that was not something that I was prepared for. So I pivoted a bit.
Well, I see that the thing is that what the instinct is, you want to lean into whatever goes viral, like, oh, I got to do more of that.
Yep. Yeah.
But I don't always want to do that. And yeah, so my experience similar to that. Well, not really similar. I guess my first big viral video on TikTok was the Mrs. Brown's Boys pick, where I pulled a copy of Mrs. I probably have it somewhere here. Are you familiar with Mrs. Brown's Boys?
No, I don't think that I've seen this
Oh.
video of yours either.
Oh God, it's like a couple Christmases ago. It was early on. I was still doing the DVDs. It was before the trivia stuff, so I was just doing the DVD picks and doing little movie videos. And so I pulled out this DVD of Mrs. Brown's Boys Christmas special. And so for those who don't know, it's an Irish show, Pride of Ireland, and the premise is a man dressed as a woman, but they don't acknowledge that it's a man. He just is like the character is a woman, so it's a guy in drag, kind of like Mrs. Doubtfire. It's like an Irish Mrs. Doubtfire. It really does remind you of that, but it's really just full of like crass Irish humor. It's really funny. It's like, I don't know, it's very difficult to explain, but I would, if you like that kind of stuff, you like good like kind of British / Irish, they would hate that I said that, but you know what I mean. Anyway, so but I pull it out of the bin. I'm like, what the hell is this? It looks like a poor man's Mrs. Doubtfire. I don't know. I've never heard of Mrs. Brown's Boys, and neither have you. And this is kind of like part of the thing is that, there's always a group of people that's never heard of something. So it shouldn't be that much of a surprise. So I'm like, my reaction when I pull this out is, what the hell is this? Like, that's when I say in the video. And I'm like, okay, I guess I'll buy it. And then I walk. So the same as I always do. Well, that apparently reached Ireland. And the entire island of Ireland said, what? You haven't heard of Mrs. Brown's Boys? How can you have never heard of Mrs. Brown's Boys? So that's what I had. All that I had for I want to say months. I got I had comments on that video. Just keep people that kept saying it. And so that was like, I went, oh, I got to talk more about this Mrs. Brown's Boys. So I got it. I borrowed some DVDs off a friend of mine and watched the show, and I did like reaction videos and stuff. And it was a lot of work. It really was a lot of work. And I realized how much more work this kind of stuff was than just simple TikToks, like just the fun TikToks that you do. They're really easy. YouTube, and I was trying to do all this stuff and like picture in picture and stuff. I'm like, oh my God, this is so hard. And then I finally get this all put up, and YouTube just shuts it right down because the BBC owns Mrs. Brown's Boys, and they are copyright heavy. Like, we own it all. You cannot play any part of that. So it all got flagged on YouTube. And so I'm like, oh well, I don't know. It didn't seem like a thing that fit on TikTok for some reason. I don't know why. But that was like, I really kind of felt like I had to go into that, and then I kind of felt shitty after that. So I stopped doing that. But then I learned just kind of like, you don't have to chase that. You don't always have to chase like the things that make you big on TikTok, right?
No, you can kind of try just whatever until something else works, which is part of the appeal. It's funny, I had a similar experience on YouTube recently because my friend and I, who we do a podcast together called the Phazecast, which you can watch on YouTube, and we started watching One Piece, the anime One Piece, because my friend is a huge fan of One Piece. He was like, you got to watch this, and I don't know much about anime, but the first video that we put up got flagged several times over, got a decent amount of views. It was like getting up to like, well, it was like 1,000 views that it was, but it just got removed completely. I got a thing that was like, you absolutely cannot show this. It wasn't just like, oh, well, it's flagged and you're not going to get like YouTube revenue. It was like, we're taking this away from you, which I've never seen before.
I think the Mrs. Brown's Boys thing was the same thing. Yeah.
Like hard removed. Yeah. It was It's pretty insane. So I had to kind of develop a workaround for that, not show the whole picture, clip it so that there isn't ever a through line of one piece. Um, uh, but that was rough.
Yeah, that's why I like TikTok. But I have had similar experiences on TikTok. I was doing a thing where I was posting like a movie clip of the day. So I put like a longer movie clip, like that kind of thing. Mm-hmm. But then anything longer than a few seconds, or like if it's a certain scene, it would get flagged for copyright. So then I felt that what I learned was like trailers are safe. Trailers are like a movie trailer is advertising, so you can use whatever part of it and it's never going to get flagged. So I just stick with the trailers. When I do my little videos on movies, I just edit the trailer in a way that I really just cut out all the text. I don't do much work in the editing. I just kind of cut out all the parts that kind of look lame and try to make it work together, and that's it. So I don't put a lot of work into that. But again,
that's interesting because I've seen those videos many times. I wouldn't have guessed that, I guess, from the way that you edit them. I wasn't like, oh, this is just the movie trailer. You're saying like for like the movie reviews and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Everything has to be from that. That's interesting. Yeah.
Yeah. I just use the movie trailer because it's none of it. It's already. It's like I'm advertising the movie for them. Well, I would be anyway, right? They just they don't understand. Anyway, you know what? We're running out of time, man. We got to wrap it up. I'm sorry to say, but what do we got here? About 6 minutes left. Well, we could talk for a few more minutes.
Yeah.
There we go. We got time. We can take it right to the end.
Oh, we got plenty of time.
Oh, my kid here. Say hello to Shannon.
Hi. So hello. Yeah, is it the light?
So pale.
Is it the light?
Why you want to be on the podcast? Is that what you want to do? She's a fan of my TikTok.
I look pale too if I do this. Have you got a ring light over there?
Yeah, I do.
It's important to have a ring light.
Yeah, that's when you know you're a serious TikToker, when you buy the ring light. I also have 2 tripods. I bought this one because the other one was just too hard to set up.
Who is this?
That's Casper. Okay.
Hello,
Are we
Casper.
showing him everybody now? We don't have the time to parade their old fan. We're wasting valuable Zoom time here.
Hi, Casper.
Casper isn't impressed either. Okay. Thank you. Okay. Bye-bye.
Actually, it looks like Casper wants to hang. No. Oh yeah.
He just
Casper's coming back.
So yeah, I bought like this. It was really about setting up I'm just going to ignore them until they go away. It was really just about setting up the shot for the trivia video quickly, because sometimes I'm doing those in like minutes and I'm out the door. Like I do those really, really fast and in the moment. And I'm like, I was finding I had another tripod somewhere else that I had to set up on a table, and it was just this whole big setup. So then I'm like, I'm just going to buy this big one. So this is a big actual tripod that I could actually use for real cameras if I wanted to.
I have one of those too, but I'm pretty bad about actually using it. Every video, and I think that I would probably benefit from using it more because every video that I take is like shaky and strange. But I don't even know where it is right now. It just takes a while to set up. I think that's something that benefits your videos, is that they're stable.
Is that right?
I think so. Yeah, okay. I think that's something that I could use.
I just need both hands free to use the cards. You know.
Well, that's the thing is like I'm always like messing with some sort of game or toy that I need to like manipulate somehow, and it doesn't ever go the right way.
Sorry, I apologize. I don't know. It's just they
apologize for what?
For you butting in like this. Say hi and go.
You said you were going.
We're not going. We're not. We still got.
Wait, do they have questions for me?
You have questions? Questions for Phazon Games, or what's your Zigny? How do you say it?
It's Zigny.
Zigny. Okay.
Yeah, I've used that for a long time.
That's my question.
He's a TikToker.
My first question is, what is that?
What is that behind him? Is that a pizza?
Oh yeah. So this that's the 10-point perfect pizza scale that is behind me. If you happen to be listening, there's the 10-point perfect pizza scale. That's from a podcast, the H3 podcast. He's really fell off lately. I'm not crazy about what's his name, Ethan, from that podcast anymore. But there was an episode of their podcast where what's the word? The guy from Papa John's Pizza who is a insane person went on after he had been sort of dethroned from his pizza thing. And he was like sweaty, and he was shaking this sheet of paper around, and he was kept referring to it. They kept like having him taste test pizzas. He was sweating and just weird. And he was like, it needs to be exactly to these specifications. And a friend of mine took a couple of small shots from that podcast where you could barely see what the paper said and blew it up so that I have the official
nice.
Requirements for the perfect pizza. They're not actually good requirements, and Papa John's is garbage, but
it is, yeah. It recently came here. We didn't have it for the longest time in Canada.
It just recently got there.
Yeah, I mean 5 years ago. I don't know. This is a fun. We'll have to continue this and have another. No, he's not. He's in Arizona right now. What?
Yeah, that's fair. Arizona is
not fair.
Arizona is the worst.
Florida, come on.
Well, it might as well be in many ways.
Okay, we're gonna wrap it up. Thanks, Eric, for doing this. I thought this was really good until it went off the rails about 5 minutes ago, but that's okay. We're gonna keep that in. I really enjoyed this conversation. I would absolutely love to have you back.
Always. You know what? There was a time you have that game where you have celebrities. We gotta name some. Some filmographies.
We'll do it live. Let's do it live and do that.
Yeah,
hey,
yes,
we'll do that.
Yes.
Okay.
We'll be back on TikTok together.
That sounds good. Okay, that's it. Thank you very much for being my TikTok friend.
Bye.
Isn't he a nice guy? Just super nice. Whenever his puffy head of hair comes across my feed, I can't help but smile. Super nice guy. You should follow him on TikTok and check out his eBay store as well. He's got a lot of cool items there. That's going to do it for this episode of my TikTok friends. I'm going to do 10. I've committed to 10. I've already got a few more interviews in the can. I'm going to do some more. So stay tuned, stay subscribed, and we'll see you on the next episode of my TikTok friends.